Hey everyone, Cody from Mac Telecom Networks. In this video, we're going to do a comparison between the UniFi 6 long-range access point and the UniFi 6 Pro access point. The U6 Pro was just released last week, and I did a video on it. If you'd like to see that video, I'll put it in the description below. If you're new here, please subscribe and hit the bell icon. If you'd like to hire me for network consulting, visit www.mactelecomnetworks.com. You'd find us on Instagram at Mac Telecom Networks, and if you want to support the channel, we have an Amazon store, which I'll put the link below. For testing, I was using my iPhone 11, which has a Wi-Fi 6 chipset. We did testing from my office, my main floor, and then my basement. We were reaching out to speedtest.net servers. We also did an iPerf test and an OpenSpeedTest, which I was using my computer for that. That has a Wi-Fi 6 chipset as well. I also did a couple WiFi Man tests through my phone, and we'll take a look at that. My internet speed is about a gigabit by 50 megabits per second for the upload. Now let's take a look at some of the specs of the U6LR and the U6 Pro. The U6LR has high efficiency 4x4 Wi-Fi 6 802.11ax. For a 5 GHz band, we have 4x4 multi-user MIMO with 2.4 gigabits per second throughput. For the 2.4 GHz band, we have 4x4 MIMO with 600 megabits per second. The price point on the U6LR is $219 MSRP Canadian. In the U6 Pro, we have dual band Wi-Fi 6, and on the 5 MHz, we have 4x4 multi-user MIMO with a throughput of 4.8 gigabits per second. For the 2.4, we have 2x2 MIMO with a throughput rate of 573.5 megabits per second. And if we have this access point set to 160 megahertz, it's a full 4x4 MIMO. On the U6LR, we only get 2x2 MIMO on the 160 megahertz. The price point for the U6 Pro is $188 MSRP Canadian. Another great resource, and I said this in my U6 Pro video, is the Mccan.net. On this website, all the access points are laid out and what they're capable of. I'll put this link below as well. The one bottleneck with both of these access points is the Ethernet interface is only a gigabit per second. I'm hoping that Ubiquiti releases some multi-gig access points in the future. One other difference is the size of the access point. This one's the U6LR, and it might be hard to tell on camera, but this is a little bit bigger. This is the U6 Professional. The LR is also heavier, and if we look at it sideways, you can see that the U6LR on the bottom is actually thicker than the Pro. Now let's get to the reason why everybody is here, to see the performance of both of these access points. The only thing that I changed on both access points was for the 5 gigahertz. I changed the channel width to 80. I've already got all the test results in a Google Sheet, so let's take a look. So first, this is for the speed test, going to speedtest.net, and this will be our download speeds. So when I'm in my office, for the U6 Pro, we're getting 748 megabits per second. And for the U6LR, we're getting 706. When we're on my main floor, I'm getting 695 for the Pro, and we're getting 482 for the long range. And then for the basement, we're getting 334 for the Pro, and we're getting 283 for the long range. So just off of this, the U6 Pro is already doing better. On my upload, they're pretty much all the same, as my upload speed to the internet is just over 50 megabits per second, so we won't really go over any of that. Now for the iPerf test, in my office for the U6 Pro, we are getting 617 megabits per second. For the long range, we are getting 594. In my main floor, we are getting 528 megabits per second for the Pro, and 463 for the long range. And in my basement for the U6 Pro, we are getting 279 megabits per second down, and for the UniFi 6 LR, we are getting 370. So in this, the U6 Pro beat the U6 LR in my office and my main floor, but the U6 LR beat the Pro in my basement. And for the upload speed for the iPerf test, the U6 Pro was getting 534 megabits per second in my office, and the U6 LR was getting 557. For the main floor, we are getting 347 megabits per second for the U6 Pro, and then for the U6LR, we are getting 199. In the basement, the U6 Pro was getting 132 megabits per second, and the U6LR was getting 216 megabits per second. For the upload iPerf test, the U6LR won. In my office, they won, and also in the basement. They were just a little bit faster. Now let's take a look at the OpenSpeedTest results. So as we could clearly see here, the U6 Pro won in everything. So in the office, the main floor, and the basement, which is surprising to me. I thought the U6LR would have been faster in the basement. Now we'll look at the OpenSpeedTest upload. And for this testing, the only time the U6LR won was for the basement, and it was just by a bit. So the U6 Pro got 197.2 megabits per second, and the U6LR got 204.6 megabits per second. Now let's take a look at my Wi-Fi Man test. Now we're looking at the Wi-Fi Man test results. I have 3 for the U6 Pro and I have 4 for the U6LR. We'll take the bottom 3 tests for the U6LR just to be fair. My first test, which was in my office for the U6 Pro, we were getting minus 45 dB, and then we were getting a throughput rate of 414 megabits per second download. We were getting 86.8 megabits per second upload. For the U6LR in my office, we were getting minus 47 dB, and we were getting 265 megabits per second down and 82.5 up. On my main floor for the U6 Pro, we were getting minus 67 dB, 344 megabits per second down and 85.1 up. For the main floor with the U6LR, we are getting minus 74 dB, which is worse than the U6 Pro, and we are getting 156 megabits per second down and 81.6 megabits per second up. And lastly, in my basement for the U6 Pro, we are getting minus 71 dB with a download of 297 megabits per second and an upload of 78.9. And for the U6LR, we are getting minus 69 dB, which is better than the U6 Pro. We're getting 384 megabits per second down and 88.4 up. So now you all want to know, who do I think is the winner of this test? Well, we only had one client connecting to these access points. I don't know what the results would be if we had hundreds of clients, as I don't have that in my house. So we need to take that into consideration. Also, your home or your business is going to be different than the layout of my house. You might have more metal, you might have more access points to cause interference. But just going based off of these spreadsheets that I have, I calculated it out of 15. We have 5 different columns with 3 categories each: my office, my main floor, and my basement. I didn't count the upload as they were pretty much the same. So the final score would be out of 15. And the U6 Pro beat the U6LR 11 times out of 15. So I would say just based off of that, it is the winner. It is also a cheaper access point by about $40 Canadian. I will be deploying more of these access points in larger scales, so I'll be able to let you know my thoughts in the future. If you have any questions about this video, please leave a comment below. If you like this video, hit the thumbs up button. If you're new here, please subscribe and hit the bell icon. All right, thanks.